I wanna give you everything. You could play me like a fiddle, you could ring my bell, you could do it all and you could do it well. Music of love, with you life is like a song. Music of love, let's make our song play on and on. You get me dancing when there's no music playing. We make it with our voices and hands. You get me spinning. I could dance all day, I could dance all night, I could dance with you for the rest of my life. Music of love, with you life is like a song. Music of love, let's make our song play on and on. You're the harmony to my melody, and we blend so sweet together. You're the harmony to my melody, say you'll stay with me forever. Music of love, with you life is like a song. Music of love, let's make our song play on and on. Let's make our song play on and on and on and on and on.
Candy Lee, what are you doing here?
Well, I was in the neighborhood and I thought I'd stop by. I saw the mic set up, and so I figured I'd go ahead and promote my CD release party.
Well, I'm happy to see you.
Oh, well,
An
thanks.
old friend. So when is the CD release party?
It's November 15th. It's at the Roots headquarters in Fayetteville.
Wonderful. And then people will be able to find the music digitally after that?
Online, I'll have it on iTunes and Spotify and all that.
I don't think anyone's ever hijacked the set before. What do you think,
No.
Topher? No.
But if it was anybody, we're happy to see you, Candy.
Oh, thank you so much.
Just ask next time, and we'll say yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
It's a calling, and we got nowhere to go, 'cause we're all in, so tell everyone you know. We wear our hearts on the stage because it's all we know. We had to break out the cage where we were forced to grow. We said goodbye to low wage about 2 years ago.
You are tuned in to the Wendy Love Edge Show with Topher Kogen, where health, music, and plant medicine meet. In today's episode, our guests are Jimmy Wayne Garrett, Houston from Lit Smoking Supplies, and Cindy Buck. And we have a special appearance by Candy Lee. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the wonderful comedian, Topher Kogen.
Hey, Wendy.
Hello. I lost my train of thought for just a second. I'm like, oh dang.
Who is he?
Usually I think way ahead of time what I'm gonna say. What have you got there?
I've got candy for Happy Halloween.
The sugar. I can't do it.
It's Halloween.
I know. I gave in yesterday. And once I had one little bag of M&Ms.
It spiraled, didn't
They're
it?
so addictive. I just started rifling through the bowl for more chocolate.
Yeah.
I usually try to buy things I don't enjoy.
Oh, okay. So there's, well, I don't know if we can say brands. There's a lot of like fruit flavored
There's
stuff.
fruit flavored things. I don't like those anyway.
Yeah.
Someone else will have to have this.
Yes.
Yes.
Were there a lot of kids coming to trick or treat?
To trick or treat,
yesterday?
only 4 children came to my home. Or
What?
should I say our home? We're roomies now.
Scandalo. Yes,
Yes,
we are.
We are.
Oh
But
my-
you work so much. I don't think
I know.
I realized how much Topher Kogen works until
you don't
we moved
see
in,
him.
and we don't see him ever.
Yeah,
So,
I think we had breakfast together one time.
we did once,
And then, have we had dinner twice?
maybe in a
You and
week. In a
Angela?
week.
Yeah.
Only those 3 times were you actually like
Yeah.
present in the.
But this weekend I'll be there.
Oh,
So I'm
good.
not
All
doing it
right.
This weekend.
Nice. We like your company, so
Oh,
that's
thank
nice.
you. I'm so happy to be there. Oh my goodness, but the moving process was a lot.
It's a lot for anybody, packing everything, figuring out what you're taking, what you're not taking, getting it
Yes.
in the truck, getting it out of the truck, getting the truck back on time so you don't have to pay extra.
Exactly.
All of it.
Whew.
Yeah, it's challenging for people.
Yeah.
And for people who have any physical challenges too, or even a lot of anxiety, it's even doubly or triply difficult for people.
Oh yeah, because like in the beginning, on the anxiety front, so I was just like in my apartment in this just sea of stuff.
Yeah, right. Right.
And I was like, I don't have a truck yet. And so like I couldn't physically like see the progress.
Right.
And so that would just like get to me of like, there's just
Am
so
I
much
even
stuff.
making any progress?
Yes.
I felt that way finally emptying the home in Massachusetts because it had been a process over several years of, we emptied the upstairs and rented it out.
Yeah.
And then everything was finally just in one room downstairs, but that all still had to be sorted out. So, and it's overwhelming. You look at the boxes and you look at the stuff and like, I'm at an age, I think it's my age maybe, where I'm just like more willing to toss more things.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm trying to
put
get to
that in that
point.
pile. I'm done with it. Anything that's not pictures of my kids or my parents or like something sentimental
Throw it
can
away.
go. It can
Yeah.
go.
Marie Kondo says if you pick it up and it does not spark joy,
Yeah.
throw it away.
Oh, I like that. So if it does not spark joy, so some mementos actually can stimulate difficult times, So I think that's a good advice. Why keep things around that are going to cause angst?
Exactly. That urn, throw it away.
We don't care who's in it.
I'm kidding.
It's totally a joke, right? I don't know though. You could have stuff sitting around from like great grandparents or anybody really, right? So,
Yeah.
so it's probably it's a good idea to purge every now and then, get rid of things you don't really need,
And
They
give
s-
back.
You can
like-
give it to people, yeah. And they say if you haven't worn it in over a year, get rid of it.
Yeah, you're
which
not
is
gonna wear
hard
it.
too. That's hard.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I gave away so many clothes.
Yeah.
Just because like I just stopped wearing like that style.
Right. Yeah.
And so, but yeah.
You got to do it. So, what have you been watching?
Ooh, so I'm excited to talk about this. It's this new show on HBO called Watchmen.
Oh.
And so it's based off of, is it Alan Moore?
Uh-huh.
I forget who it is. But
Dr. Adrian, do you know?
It is so good.
It is. Yes.
He was
So-
busting. Usually he's next to me. I can't really see him.
Yeah.
But he had moved his body in my view, and I could see he was like ready to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's the comic that it's based on? Is it Alan Moore or Alan something?
The Watchmen?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not like versed in movie stuff.
Oh, sorry.
The show is so good.
Yes, but it's very good. Everybody should watch it. It's a dissection of comic book heroes or like super heroes and vigilantes. But what I really liked about it is the first episode. It opened on the Black Wall Street Massacre, which a lot of people aren't taught about in history school. And so, it was just a real event that was horrific and really showed, kind of like the peak racism almost of like trying to be a progressive society.
Right.
And so this is good food for thought and just like okay, that did happen.
Right. So this is on HBO?
Yes, HBO.
And so what do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being the best thing you've ever watched.
Ooh. Well, Adrian says 10. Double 10, 20.
10.
And then we tried to watch Living.
So,
With Yourself.
Living with yourself. So we talked about that a little bit last week.
Okay, you
I
did,
think,
okay.
I don't know, maybe not. Well, anyway, we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
And how we would do it differently, basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's kind of a good idea, I think, but I don't really like things that they did with it. I thought we both had the same idea.
Yeah.
Like if they had made other choices, it would have been so
Yes.
much better.
Every obstacle, I'm like, make a different choice, Paul Rudd, and he doesn't.
Yeah, he
And I'm
doesn't
like-
do it. I know. So I'm gonna give it like a 6, maybe.
Oof.
I think a 6.
5.
5. Yeah.
I love Paul Rudd, but that's a 5.
Yeah. I was thinking, I'm gonna say so between 5 and 6. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could check it out yourself, but I think people will come to the same conclusion. But yeah. So.
Yes, Adrian.
I'd like to go back 2 weeks, 2 episodes.
Okay.
I went and saw The Joker.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thoughts?
Probably gonna win Best Actor.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was so well acted, so disturbing.
Right.
It is not for kids.
Yeah, definitely not.
It is, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. It's not because it's bloody. It's because it's disturbing.
Yeah.
Descent into
Right. Into
psychosis,
madness. Yeah.
madness.
Yeah.
But it was so good,
Yeah.
and that guy did a great job.
Yes.
Yeah, I think people that like that kind of thing really. There's been a lot of controversy about it, but I probably will not see it because it will really disturb me.
Yeah.
But I can see how people would enjoy the film itself for the value of the film.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about. We have a great new sponsor.
Yes.
Dr. Karis,
Okay.
Karis Healthcare, and we're going to talk about him each week at the beginning of the show. I think it's a really important thing to discuss because when you're in a state that just starts up with medical, a lot of physicians really charge an exorbitant fee for patients to go and see them. And in Arkansas, all they're doing is checking off that you have one of the qualifying conditions and signing it.
Okay.
Right, so they don't even really have to examine you. They're just saying you have this condition, and the
Okay.
conditions are on the list. So he charges what his usual office visit rate is, and I think that is the way it should be. And so we're super excited that he loves the show so much and what we're doing, and has sponsored the show so that we can talk about it. So if you're in Fayetteville, definitely if you need recommendations or just a doctor that really looks at not only what mainstream medicine is telling us, but natural medicine options. That's Dr. Karis. So we're pretty excited that he's a new sponsor.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Karis.
Yeah. So anything else happening that we should know about?
Last night was Halloween.
We talked about that.
Okay, got it.
Did you have any candy? Because you were gone also last night.
Did I? Oh, I had $5 champagne bottles at No Man's.
That was the candy?
Yes.
That's what they gave out?
Mm-hmm.
Really? For trick or treat?
Yeah, you walked up and said trick or treat, and they're like, that was $5, and they
And then they gave-
slapped a big bottle of champagne.
Wow.
And yeah, and so just like the whole bar was just full of like tables with just like champagne bottles.
Wow, that is very interesting. I've never heard of a place doing that.
Yeah.
That's like the adult Halloween.
Yeah.
All the kids are all
There
out
were no kids.
getting candy and whatever. I know. I wish we had more trick-or-treaters. Did you have any trick-or-treaters, Dr. Adrian?
I had exactly as many as you did.
Were they the same
There
one?
were 4 groups of kids. I did get a picture of one that was like it was like a beach ball Pokemon.
Beach ball
It was full of
Pokemon.
air.
Well, that's clever, at least.
It was cute. I took a picture of it. It's the best
Yeah.
one. And then I think I almost made a girl cry at my door because I asked her if she was a zombie and she said no.
Oh,
What
She was
no.
a vampire, and she said, "No, I'm not very well practiced at this." And she goes, "I'm the Grim Reaper." She goes, "I don't like carrying it."
She did. Oh, because she didn't have. If she had the stick, you would have known.
Why did she have
You
the
know,
stick?
She doesn't
She
like
doesn't
carrying
like
it. But
Well,
she,
it'd be a different costume. I don't know what to tell you.
I just basically put a mask on. That was my costume.
Oh, I was comedian Will Hamill for Halloween, which I think that video is floating around somewhere. You can find it online, but it was a great time.
Will Hamill.
Yes.
And so were the comedians all playing other comedians, or was that?
Yes.
Oh, they were.
Hmm. There were other comedians, other local comedians. Xavier was Bernie Bernie Manders, a mixture between Bernie Mac and Bernie Sanders. It was really great.
Bernie Manders? Smanders?
Yeah, maybe about Manders. I don't know how he said it, but it's
But it was that. Yeah, that's fun. There was so much going on. There's always. I'm glad that there are events now on Halloween. Although I loved trick or treating with the big horde of kids through my neighborhood when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Did you have that experience?
We did, but as I got older, like the neighborhood kids just got lazier. So I would stay home to pass out the candy, and there was like 2 or 3 rounds where like they were just in regular clothes.
Oh no!
Like, we
Do you
were
not give them candy?
Well, you try to, but I was a very small child, and so they were like, no, you're giving us candy.
We're just here to fill our pockets, and we're not bothering to dress up.
Exactly. Like the mob.
You know, my mother used to make us collect for UNICEF and not take any candy, which is also torture when you're a child. But we did have a party back at the house. Okay. So she was like, we have everything here, loads of candy and cake and whatever you're going to want. I'd rather you not take it from strangers, but here, collect for UNICEF.
Yeah, and test razor blades and apples.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if they still even do that on Halloween, but it's a good thing to do. And,
yes, put razor blades in apples.
That is not a good thing to do. Collect for charity. Don't put razor blades. Okay. No, absolutely not. And most of the kids, as it seems, are at parties and all that anyway, because we only have a few trick-or-treaters. So, yeah. But I think it is time to move on to our health guest. And we are in the green zone. Today, our guest is Cindy Buck. She is the owner and operator of Atomic Wellness, and she works in the cutting-edge science area of redox biochemistry. Welcome to the show, Cindy.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
So we met on a networking platform, and one of the things that you said to me that really piqued my interest was that what you do helps the body to do what it does best, which is to heal itself. And that's been kind of my MO through all this work with Bulldozer Health and helping people understand what health and wellness is. So that was a really great connection, I felt. So tell me, what exactly is redox biochemistry?
Well, it's a discovery in which gentlemen won a Nobel Prize in 1998 for. And so scientists and doctors have known about these molecules called redox signaling molecules. Molecules were a useless byproduct of the cell energy, kind of like exhaust from a car. Mm-hmm. And what these scientists figured out in 1998 was that these molecules that we produce in the salt water of our cells actually have a function. And that function is cellular communication. And so they won the Nobel Prize for that discovery. Now, it's one thing to know about something and understand something. It's another thing to be able to leverage that understanding. And so the only company in the world that has been able to stabilize and replicate these molecules outside the body so that they can be replenished back to the body is the biotech company that I represent. And so we are in the education business, and we really teach people about how their body heals itself in 33 countries around the world. So to answer your question, the word redox, R-E-D-O-X, is short for reductants and oxidants. And without getting too technical, there are 2 sets of molecules, a set of molecules that gives off an electron and a set of molecules that accepts an electron, which, if you think about it, if you try to stabilize those molecules in the same bottle or the same tube, they're going to neutralize each other, you would think. Mm-hmm. But this company has done what science said was impossible, and that is stabilize both sets of molecules in a liquid that you drink and in a gel that you apply topically. So you're replenishing the same molecules that your body makes, so the body knows exactly what to do with them, because without these molecules, we all die. The plants die, the animals die, the humans die. So it's at the root cause of the aging process.
Okay.
And if these molecules are out of balance in your system, for example, if you have too many reductants, you have an autoimmune problem. And if you have too many oxidants, then your body can't protect itself from cellular damage. So neither one is good. Balance is the key.
Right.
And when you replenish these molecules with the technology that I work with, it is already in perfect balance. So it helps our bodies come back into what we call a redox balance.
Wow. Okay. So in a human body, let's say you're born into this world and your cells know how to communicate, right? So you come into the world. Let's say you're a healthy baby when you're born. Your body's going to do that naturally.
That's right. That's right. And when we're little kids, if you think about how fast a little kid heals, it's really fast. It's like they bump their head and the next day it's all healed. When we get older and we bump our head, it seems like it takes forever to heal. And so why is that? And the reason is that we produce fewer and fewer of these molecules as we age, which is why we age, and why getting to the root cause of health problems as we age becomes more and more difficult.
Right. So you were mentioning some different conditions like autoimmune issues, right? So let's say...
Yeah, it's not a medical product. We don't make any medical claims.
Right.
But if you look at any kind of imbalance in the body, whatever it's called, it's because unhealthy cells have been allowed to replicate in the body. And the last thing you want replicating in your body are unhealthy cells.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's like your body's you have an issue in your body, and then the cells naturally replicate the same problem repeatedly. And so,
exactly.
Right.
Unless the body detects that, hey, what the heck's going on over here? These cells should not be allowed to replicate. These cells are unhealthy, and these cells either need to be repaired or they need to commit cell suicide. It's called apoptosis, so that they can be replaced with healthy cells. That's the natural healing process of the body. But if that cellular communication is not working effectively, then the body allows unhealthy cells to replicate, and then when that happens long enough, it's going to be called something. And once it's called something, we medicate or surgically remove it or have some kind of treatment or whatever.
Right.
But if you get to the root cause of the problem early in the problem, then those cells never replicate.
Right. So what if it's not early in the problem? Like, let's say someone's had, something like rheumatoid arthritis for 20 years, but they discover this product. Would it help them to change that process potentially?
Yes, because the thing is, rheumatoid arthritis is a kind of arthritis. It's actually an autoimmune problem.
Right.
And so the body hasn't been getting the message that those cells are replicating or have been replicating for 20, 30, 40 years. And all of a sudden, there's enough unhealthy cells that have replicated where the person's joints don't work properly, and they hurt, they're sore. So there's a gel that you can actually put directly on the places that hurt. And if you put the gel on 3 times in 5 minutes, 90% of the people notice an improvement within 10 minutes. And it's not because it's an analgesic or some kind of pain problem. It's because you're actually beginning to generate healthy tissue in the place of unhealthy tissue. So you're actually reversing the problem at the cellular level.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, especially for a topical and nothing has to be
right, that you don't have to take it internally or inject it. It's actually topically.
Exactly, and the thing is that it works for wrinkles and saggy, baggy skin, on cellulite, and on age spots and sunburns and bug bites and burns that you get on the stove and whatever, because everything's cellular. So if you think about it, it doesn't matter if it's lung cells, eyelash cells, blood cells, stomach cells, it doesn't matter. Your whole body is made up of cells. So when people drink this, the body knows which cells are the most important to fix first, and the body will fix those cells first.
Right,
then the next most important, then the next most important. When you put it on topically, you're choosing which portal the body is absorbing these molecules through. And so if you want it to work on your hand cells, you're going to put the gel on your hands, and it's going to go into your bloodstream through your hand cells. So you're going to realize an improvement in your hand cells as opposed to drinking it and having the body decide which cells need to be addressed first.
Right. That's kind of cool. I mean, the body is so smart, you know, so if you take the drink, it says, okay, where's the place in most need?
Yeah.
Right? How smart is that?
Very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, you know, Hippocrates and, you know, a lot of people that are very, very wise have always said, you know, let food be the medicine and, you know, let medicine be thy food, right? So it's not about interrupting the healing process. It's about understanding what causes healing to happen in the body and empowering that process.
So you're really just helping your body to do what it's programmed to do, keeping that process going.
That's it. And the thing is, what many doctors and health-oriented people love about this is that you can't do it wrong. You can't hurt yourself. A dog can get into a bottle of this stuff and he'll be fine. A baby can get into a whole tube of gel and be just fine.
Wow.
There's nothing, you can't hurt anybody with this. And you can't say that with medicine. That's why they talk for 5 minutes after they give you a commercial, because of all the warning signs, right?
Right. I was just reading that the FDA is talking about removing all those warning signs from the ads.
Why?
Isn't that crazy? I mean, I think so when I started the Bulldozer Health Project, one of the first things that we worked on was talking about the advertising and I met with some congressmen trying to work on getting the ads off of television because I think they're a public health risk. People see the ad and it's just like they're selling Coke, so there's the same subliminal seduction like with any advertising, and they're repetitive. And you go to the doctor and you're asking about the drug because you think you heard that you have some of the symptoms, you know. So it's really a sales tactic, and I've felt for all this time that they shouldn't be on TV anyway. So when I read this, I felt so angry about it because at least now they're listing off all the terrible things that could happen if they remove that. It's just the same subliminal seduction and direct seduction of people watching television or listening to the radio.
Yeah, I agree. I grew up making television commercials, and these big advertising agencies would come out to Aspen, Colorado, where I was born and raised, and they would hire me for Pepsi commercials and for McDonald's commercials, so basically fast food and soda pop commercials. Well, the reason that they wanted to use me in these commercials and other people in this area is because we're healthy. We don't drink soda pop and we don't eat fast food. So that's why they want to use us. We don't have all the problems that those kind of things cause. So it's false advertising. And part of the reason why I went into health and wellness is because I really felt badly about promoting fast food and soda pop because it's not who I am. And somebody said to me one time, would you ever do a cigarette commercial? And I said, no way. And they said, well, then why do you do fast food and soda pop? And I didn't have a good answer. And then I realized when I went down to Australia that they're following right into North America's footsteps, and they have a huge problem with obesity and diabetes and other things. And I felt really, really bad that, somehow I had put my energy towards this awful, awful industry because the people in the advertising do not look like the people that consume the product. That's not accurate.
Well,
so I think there should be some accountability.
Right, but I think, at the time you weren't thinking about that, and then when you know better, you do better, know?
Right, true.
Yeah, I worked in mainstream medicine, and my patients had giant lists of pills, and I would even talk to the doctors about adding pills for people, and I feel bad about that, but I didn't, that's what I knew mainstream medicine,
Well, I don't think that anybody I like to believe anyway, that nobody intentionally hurts other people. I know for sure that most doctors get into medicine because they want to help people.
Right.
You don't go through all that medical school and all that, debt to hurt people. But it's the system that's broken. It's not the people that are broken. It's the system that's broken. And unfortunately, it's based on the bottom line and not on people's health.
Absolutely. I watched it happen while I was in college. I went to Boston University, and the beginning of my school, it was all about the science and the medicine. And by the time I was in my third year, the business of medicine was really rolling out. and everything started to change over the next few years.
Yeah, I actually have worked with a guy in the company previous to this company. It was a Japanese Health and Research Institute, and I worked with a gentleman from Boston that was actually doing work at Boston University, and he was working with Qigong, which is a martial art. It's a Eastern martial art that uses energy. Anyway, he had cured 3 cases of cancer at the university, and the university came to him and said, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to stop doing this. One of our major contributors to the college is a pharmaceutical company. We don't want to lose that funding."
Wow.
And so he was so shocked that he actually became a senator. He's working in government in Massachusetts as we speak.
Wow. Well, good for him. You know, like I said, when you see things and you start to learn and you know better, then you hopefully start to do better, like he did, and can
Absolutely.
affect some
people.
change.
I really appreciate you doing this show because you're educating people about what they don't know, and it's through education that people become powerful.
Yes, thank you. It's a labor of love for us, right, Topher? Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more?
They can email me at atomicwellness@gmail.com, or they can call me directly at 970-618-9939.
Excellent.
That would probably be the best way.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Cindy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Deep-rooted weed, born from a seed. How you've grown. Do you feel at home? Trod upon, weary underfoot, come and gone. How they overlook.
And we are in the Green Zone. Today in the Green Zone, our guest is Houston from Lit Smoking Supplies. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I've only seen you in the shop, I guess.
Right.
So it's great to have you here.
Yeah, it's nice to meet up in a new setting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to talk today a little bit about vaping versus smoking. As you're aware, in the news, there's lots of talk about how vaping isn't very good for us, right? What are your thoughts about that?
Unfortunately, when you have products associated with cannabis and you have the inherent black market also associated with it, you have people that basically try to reap the benefits financially from at the expense of the customer with tainted products that are obviously not medically recognized, approved, or of medical grade. So it's really unfortunate, especially for patients who are trying to treat some of their debilitating disorders and diseases. So.
Right, and people have kind of moved from the what I would say is traditional smoking. Like, I really love a joint, smoking a joint. And I can say that for my medical conditions, I have had asthma most of my life, and for the most part, it's pretty much gone. I was on 3 different inhalers and some pills that I had to take, and I haven't had to use any of that. Occasionally, a rescue inhaler, but it's made such a huge difference to healing my lungs. What do you think about that?
Just the cannabis plant's a wonderful thing. All of the aromatic compounds associated with all the fruits, vegetables, and cannabis as well have wonderful properties for a lot of different people. I mean, just the fact that we're people and we can experience all these different things, and in particular, pinene is one that's associated as a bronchodilator. It's associated with the common aroma of pine trees or turpentine.
Right. So that's a terpene, which is an element of the plant. We've talked about terpenes a few different times. I think pinene also helps with relieving anxiety too.
I think most of them are anti-inflammatory as well.
So it can only help the lungs, and I know there are studies mainly from Israel that show that it actually can improve lung function. But of course here we can't have the kind of studies that we would like. I think they're just starting to do some research. It being a class 1 substance, it made it hard to research it.
Right.
So in the shop, have you had more people looking for alternatives to vaping? Are people like really, I know all over social media, people have been like all upset about it, you know?
Oh, go ahead.
You told you?
Oh, yeah. So I just want to say really quickly that I wish there was a different distinction between vaping and a vaporizer. Because I feel like that some people now with the recent news of pre-done vaping pens, that would turn them off to even hearing about vaporizers. Because for myself, I find that's the best way to take the medicine. For me, is through a vaporizer. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate they lumped all the vaping into one big thing, and really it's just been tainted cartridges, and it's really unfortunate because it's a lot of things, and a lot of people use all the nicotine products to help themselves wean off of cigarettes, and so that's another umbrella of vaping, and they really just tried to lump it into one, and like I said, it's unfortunate because it's a wonderful, accessible way for people to administer the medicine.
So what is the difference between a vaporizer and the vape pen cartridges that you buy?
So if we're thinking traditional dry herb or flower vaporization, it's typically a combustion chamber. Excuse me, not a combustion chamber, but a convection chamber.
Okay.
There are some that are combustion as well, but that's technically lighting it on fire as opposed to the convection vaporization where you're just getting the compounds that you want as opposed to burning the entire vegetable matter.
Okay, so the vaporizer works by convection.
Right.
Okay.
So it's like a tiny oven in your pocket.
Yeah.
That just like pre-cooks it and you just take in the steam.
Oh yeah, we had a convection oven when I was a teenager, I think. So it's the same principle, I imagine, right?
And then most of the ones for concentrate are just typically a battery with a cartridge with some sort of atomizer on there, and it's typically in a liquidized form.
Right. And so in the store, if someone's looking at a vaporizer cartridge, they would be able to see the ingredients clearly.
Yeah.
On there.
And any medical patient purchasing anything like that, they will also have typically all the ingredients even listed in production.
Right.
Right.
So if it's a CBD pen, like in your shop, you sell CBD, flower, vaporizer, vape pens.
Yeah.
But all people can actually take a look at it and make sure there's nothing harmful in there for them.
Right, yeah. And we have the chemical analysis of all of our CBD products and where we get them and where they're from, and for herbicides, fungicides, heavy metals. So it's tested for everything, as well as the THC limit, because that's important in our
you
state.
don't want to go over the limit.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so important to have lab work. I tell that to people all the time. When you go into a shop, if they don't have lab work on their products, then that might not be a shop that you want to buy something in, because you want to know what you're getting. So we have with us today also some bongs. So we've talked about vaporizing, which is convection, the vape pen, which would be, it's just vapor, it's not
It's also
convection.
vaping, it's just typically a concentrated form as opposed to flowers or dry herbs.
And then people could just roll a joint using rolling papers and smoke it, right?
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of people get really nervous when you talk about smoking because they liken it to cigarettes, but it's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, as soon as you have water filtration with anything, it's going to be a little bit better for you.
Right.
And in particular, people with respiratory ailments, anything with better percolation, smaller bubbles, anything like that is going to just, not only remove more toxins, but cool all of the smoke, and so it's going to be a little more palatable, not so irritating.
Irritating to the throat.
Right.
Do you want to pick one of these up so we can? So how does this work for people who haven't used a bong before?
Yeah, so pretty good rule of thumb is that the water level is just right over the percolator. As you can see on this one right here on the bottom, we've got 3 little slits. So as long as the water is over that, you'll be getting the full pieces percolating potential. And so it's really easy, they're all different, and the fun part about it is that you get to play with every piece, and every piece is very unique.
Right.
And so
So the water, the cooling, and the ease on your throat is a good feature of using a bong or we say a water pipe here in Arkansas, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. And for instance, on this antidote piece here, we have an ice pinch up at the top, so that just adds for another element of cooling for patients or people consuming who just need something even a little cooler.
Right.
And so with the combination of excellent percolation cooling as well as ice and even cool water, sometimes you can really make it palatable.
Do you mean you put ice in there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Unfortunately, this one's a little small, so some of the bigger cubes and square cubes wouldn't fit particularly well. But yeah, you basically just push it down there. It does adjust your water level over time as it melts, but it's a wonderful addition, in my opinion, for any water pipe.
Right. Well, yeah, my throat gets really irritated with any like dabbing or even sometimes vaporizing. It's so dry,
Now, I have, what is your professional opinion on this? I have seen some people use, I think it was either LaCroix or Bubbly as like water pipe water.
Really?
Yes.
With bubbles in it?
Yes.
It's interesting. Yeah, no, I haven't heard much about that. There are a few new products that are coming out there. They're basically res blockers.
Okay.
So you put it in your piece, and instead of it adhering to the sides of your water pipe and the places it can be hard to clean at times, it actually basically just makes it a solution and kind of makes it soluble within the piece water.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, it's a particular
So it
water.
doesn't stick, because you'll get a lot of resin on
Right.
these, then you have to clean them, which I have to ask. So I have friends who just use alcohol to clean.
Right.
Is that what you would suggest? Or?
That's a very common way to do it. It's been increasingly harder to find high percentage isopropyl alcohol, which is always the best thing. It's nice to have an agitator as well. Epsom salt or just table salt works really well. But we always have several very well qualified and reputable cleaners in the shop if you would rather go that way. And most of the time they're reusable.
And are they organic, some of them?
Yeah, they're all either plant derived
Nice.
or naturally derived.
Yeah.
So.
Well, do you have anything that you'd like to add about smoking versus vaping?
Well, like I said, it always comes down to what the individual wants. Vaping's always going to be a little bit safer because you're not adding a extra heated smoke into your lungs. It's a vapor, and that's the designation / I think an important fact for people to figure
See the
out.
distinction,
Right, that there's combustion and vaporization, and vaporization is always going to be a little bit more healthy. If you can vaporize and water filter, you're doing even better. But sometimes, like you said, a joint's just a nice thing to have.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and especially I think, at least in my experience, if I'm feeling very anxious or triggered with PTSD, it's a really quick solution.
Yeah.
Either a dab or a joint will work more quickly. I don't know if you've had other experiences, or I think it just comes down to personal choice.
Yeah. No, you're right, though. There's something about passing it amongst friends / just smoking a joint to me that's therapeutic.
Right.
So I'm definitely in the same boat as you.
Yeah, in all different ways, right? Absolutely. Well, I wanted to mention Dr. Karras once again. We were talking about him in the first segment. He's the new sponsor for our show, and he's definitely an ally for all natural medicine and cannabis, especially. We kind of say, well, he was doing cannabis recommendations right at the beginning and not, gouging patients on price, and he's a very good doctor. As well, so and knowledgeable about the topic. So you may want to let people know at the shop too. He's great for giving recommendations, and so we really appreciate having him sponsor the show.
Thank you again, Dr. Karras.
And lit smoking supplies.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, for sure, anytime.
And now for our musical segment, we have blues artist native to NWA, gifted with a century-old classic guitar. Please give it up for Jimmy Wayne Garrett.
Thank y'all. This song's called Colder and Older. Comes the time for the mistletoe and sticking gets cold, I am a little bit older, and I'm hoping to find what I'm looking for. Is heaven ever gonna help me open the door? 'Cause seasons they come and the reasons they go, because how you felt was the way you were told to feel with your hands and not with your soul. And now your spirit's like burned up coal, and it's the same old story in a brand new song. And when you get lonely, who do you miss? Who do you miss? Who do you miss? Well, maybe it's pride or the hurt that's inside to write another song and help me feel alive, and then take a little trip and forget about this. From what I've heard, ignorance is bliss. So just keep on praying and keep on saying that everything is fine when that can be debated. Now you're passing out smiles while you walk down my street, but don't be in denial, child. Who do you miss? Who do you miss? Who do you miss? And now that it's over and the spring starts to come, and all the birds fly back where they're from, and this rain starts to fall and these rivers will fill, I've been starting to think that maybe feelings could kill. So I'll just stand up tall and look up to the sun, and I'll tell myself it's been a real good run. But I'm losing my faith and I'm losing my religion. I've been counting up all this money I'm spending, and I'm tired of this place, my aging face. I'm lucky for grace, but there's someone I miss. There's someone I miss. Who do you Thank you. Will you cross the ocean, little one? Will you cause a commotion, little one? Will you rise to the occasion, little one? Will you find someone when you find someone to love? Will you keep a secret, little one? Will you be a believer, little one? And will you know when you see her, little one? Will you find someone when you find someone to love? across the ocean, little one? Will you cause a commotion, little one? Will you rise to the occasion, little one? And will you find someone when you find someone to love?
Oh my goodness. I bet your son loves that song now, and when he gets older, he's gonna love it even more. Oh!
I don't know.
You should play it at a wedding.
Ooh.
It is kind of a wedding song.
Yeah.
It's about love.
I just saw this really soft side of you. It's so
Oh, no.
beautiful. Oh no.
We all have that, don't we?
We do. It's really lovely. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you all so much.
So where can people find your music?
So they can find my music on all the places that don't send artists any money, Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube. They can also go to my website, jimmywaynegarrett.com,
Nice.
and email me if they
Wonderful.
want to, and I'll send them some music, even though CDs are old school.
They are old school now. We've been talking about that. I mean, I love vinyl personally.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 70s.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like listening to vinyl, but everything has changed so much.
I'd like to get some vinyl going.
And we've got using, our artist that does the set uses all repurposed products and trash art, and we've got CDs there.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I noticed, are you coming off some of the social media platforms?
Yeah,
or-
so social media is about to be chopped out of my life starting in 2020. It would have been way
Nice.
sooner, but you feel like you want to promote your music and that you want to do it through social media, but I think that social media attracts your eyeballs and it doesn't really get down to your soul. I don't really care about getting people's eyeballs.
There you go.
So
I saw that on Instagram, I think, you warning people. You've been
telling-
forewarning people. I'm coming off of these platforms. So I think we're going to see more of that, actually, as
I
we
think
go
you're
along.
right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for having me on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
thank
thanks
you
for being
doing
here.
this for music and the community.
Great. All right. Thanks. What a great show it's been.
Yeah, it's an amazing show.
Yeah, we've got different people here today, too. We've got a new person on camera in the studio. This
Yes.
is Robin.
Hello, Robin.
And Jacqueline, thanks for all your help with aesthetics. So, and then we've got our music folks here. So, Candy Lee, you dropped in today.
We forgave you.
You commandeered the show. So, how long have you been working on your CD?
Oh, I mean, years in the making, but I recorded it live, so it didn't take too long. So it's been alive for, I guess, a couple of months.
Yeah,
Been waiting.
cool. Oh, so you recorded it live. Cool. Where was that?
Over at Crisp Studios.
Oh, yeah, I love Darren Crisp. Yeah, all about the love. So, Jimmy, this is your first time on the show. We're so happy to have you here. What are your thoughts about it? So you didn't get to see all the pieces because Topher and I pre-recorded what's going to be the health segment in the show, but what are your thoughts about this music, health, and plant medicine joining together?
I think it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. Houston had to leave, but I really learned so much from him. And every time I'm in Lit Smoking Supplies, I learn something from them. They're all so knowledgeable.
Yeah, it's not just a shop. It's a like a educational point of like knowing what exactly you are getting into with all your smoking supplies.
Yeah, and they're not pushy about sales either. Like, you can go in there and learn a bunch of stuff and leave if you want to. But of course, it's great if you do buy something, And I love it that they have hemp rolling papers and hemp products as well. So, I don't know. I tend to not be drawn to the bong. Like, I looked at them on the table and...
Water pipe.
The water pipe. We have to say water pipe in Arkansas.
Okay, so what is it? Because, if you're not used, when did bong become bad? And everybody knows what you're talking about when you say water pipe. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's it's the same image.
Well, what else would you put in the water pipe? I don't know. Have you ever put tobacco in a water pipe? Anybody here? Have you ever?
You might put DMT in it, I don't know.
What is that?
I don't know, man.
I do. It's a plant-based crystalline extract that used to be called the businessman psychedelic. It lasts for 30 minutes.
Okay.
It is like, yeah, it's really,
The
really strong.
businessman-
It's really,
Wait,
really, really
The
strong.
businessman psychedelic.
It's very strong.
I like that. They should bring that back.
No, it's not even worth the first try, I promise you.
Dr.
Just for
Adrian
the
has
name.
spoken.
I think
but
the names are in
It's like-
flux all the time, you know, like the cultural relevance of it is
Joe Rogan.
it's always moving around.
Yeah.
So you can never be politically correct right down to the wire because that doesn't exist.
Wait, what does it say a bong is in the dictionary?
I don't know. We should look that up.
Dollar says it's not in the dictionary.
Bong is not in the dictionionary. Dollar says, is that an
when
Arkansas
was the
thing?
dictionary
Dollar
printed?
says. I don't think I've heard that before. I
I
don't know. Yeah.
Maybe it's in the thesaurus instead of the dictionary.
Yeah, the thesaurus or something.
For me,
I don't know, it's legit legal.
Well, here's the problem. So legalization is a trap, which I say all the time, because even though we have medical, we have to say things like water pipe for this device that we are using for our medical product, right?
Yeah.
Potentially. But
Soon we can't even say joint. It's gonna be cigarette 2. I don't know. I don't know. I lost.
see, and the fact that cigarettes are okay to talk about and okay to use the actual words is craziness,
you
right?
know what kills more people than cigarettes? Sugar.
Oh yeah,
There we go.
absolutely. Right, but we can say sugar all we want. Sugar. Oh my goodness.
Oh
Well,
my gosh, can we start bleeping the word sugar on this show?
You said sugar in your song.
And it would have seemed like I said sugar.
I'm from Massachusetts where we say sugar, for sure. For sure.
You drink
Stop
water?
at the store and get some water and sugar. Yeah.
And pop the cod, have it, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, we are here largely in part due to our sponsors, and they are Lit Smoking Supplies,
CBD,
CBD American Shaman Kava Bar,
Mary Will Nourish,
Purely Natural CBD,
Kira's Healthcare.
and Sparky Arky. And he's been Topher.
And she's been Wendy.
We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.